seriously, looking at all the car design, before I go to Alpine, I think all these cars will go in black, almost black, because the first 4 cars that came out, the Haas, the Stake, the Williams, the Alpine, everybody is going for more shades of black, the carbon fiber. And you know why? Because they are looking at saving weight. Saving weight will help them a lot this season, because most cars were overweight last season. That was one of their problems. Only the RB19 was able to cut on that weight. And this season, the Red Bull will also be having these shades of black. And I'm sure, except Mercedes have cut their weight in some other part, they will go for shades of black, like almost the same thing they went for last season. They will now say it is to honor Mercedes. But let me go to Alpine. Now, Alpine looks fantastic. And I've said like 2 or 3 cars look like the Ferrari and the Red Bull. Now, we have an Alpine that looks so well like the Ferrari. So many ways. But the funny thing with that side pod is they now took 2 different sides of shades of side pod. The podless Mercedes towards the lower cut of the side pod, and the upper part, the Ferrari. Maybe they are like, Mercedes was fast now, even podless. Mercedes was faster than them. Something is good with the podless to a point. But it's all about cooling with the side pod. It's all about being able to get the right air to cool the engine. The things look great and different. Like I said in my podcast about Alpine, I said they need to redesign the car totally. They've totally redesigned car. So it is a car that looks agitated to race. But I think that car is afraid. The car looks promising to a point, but it looks afraid though. And I think with what the team is doing, they might get some pretty snap-on at the beginning of the season, trying to challenge McLaren, trying to challenge Williams, and I think they will try to put up a challenge with Mercedes. It's going to be a funny season, because if the Alpine can get that car so fast, it will be very, very interesting season for us. With the way Red Bull is going, I think it's going to be a very interesting season. The major key design of that car is the way the side pod is cut out for a total package of aerodynamics to give the car more downforce. And I think if that car can get the downforce it needs, especially with the way the diffusers and the rear winglets are shaped, I think that car will give it a real run for its money. The top of the floor looks gracefully great, but the underneath of the floor, we've not seen it. And we know in Formula 1, these ground level cars, what really propels them in straight line and some part of the corners is the floor. And that is what gave Red Bull and Williams their top speed last season. Looking at their floor from outward, it looks pretty cool, it looks pretty decent, but underneath, how can they generate the right vortex to propel that car forward? The front wings look massively redesigned, rejigged, beautiful. The suspension of that car also looks beautiful. And I think the livery is what people have issues with, because I don't know what they are really doing with this pink. I am trying to understand what Alpine are really doing with this kind of pink. The A524 Alpine is going to be a massive car. It's going to be a collision recovery car. And I think the aggressiveness of that car will give Alpine a lot of ground. And they are also coming with 2 different liveries this season. You remember last season, Alpine came up with 2 different liveries. They had a different livery in Azerbaijan. They had a different one in, I think, Saudi Arabia also, because of the sponsorship. Looking at this Alpine, the upper part of the side pod looks beautifully cut out for the perfect downforce. The aerodynamics on the nose is quite cool, and on the side mirrors, that car looks so good, so intelligently built. Like I said, it's a perfect chassis redesign, but until we see them at the first race, it's going to be very, very interesting to see them in Bahrain with their new blue, pink, and naked carbon black. It's going to be interesting. The car is totally reshaped. The air intake is reshaped. The cooling, the suspension, the rear suspension also has been reshaped with their 2 French drivers. We don't know which is going to Mercedes. If Mercedes will consider any of the 2, I think Mercedes might be looking at Alex Albon seriously. But Pierre Gasly and Esteban Ocon have been doing a perfect job with them. Last year they did a good job with that car that was not in good shape. Let's see what they will do this season with the A524 Alpine. Like we all know, their main focus is to challenge the top, because challenging Aston Martin, challenging McLaren that were close to the top last season will look wonderful. So let's see what this French team will do with this beautiful car they've brought. I will still tell you the best livery, but this car looks perfectly cool. So let's see what they are going to be doing with that car in 2024. That is it on Alpine. Thank you. I love you guys. Bye.